Now, this week has really been about awareness. You have been learning to separate that emotional hunger from physical hunger. You've been identifying your cues and your routines and those rewards, especially. But here's the shift: awareness is powerful, but action is what creates that change. So, in Momentum, we are building systems that support your goals for years to come. So, today we want to integrate that, turn that awareness into ownership, and really step into that food freedom without losing our structure. So, one of the most powerful behavior change tools we have is something I've mentioned before called implementation intentions, or if then plans. If something, then I will do. So, forming these specific plans really significantly increases our follow through across health behaviors. And the reason is really simple. When you pre-decide what your response is to a trigger, you remove the negotiation that you have in the moment. You've thought ahead already and you know what you're going to do. So it sounds a little bit like this. If I wander into the kitchen after dinner out of habit, then I'll make tea and step outside for 5 minutes. Or maybe for me, it might just be turning off the lights and cleaning up the kitchen to give my brain the signal that the kitchen is closed. Or if I hit that 3 p.m. slump and I'm craving sugar, I'll check whether I've had enough protein, fiber, or water over my lunch period and maybe build a small mini lunch. If I'm stressed and want a snack, then I'll pause for 5 minutes before deciding if I do actually want it. So notice how specific these are. When you link a trigger to a planned response, you're literally building a new neural pathway. And these small specific plans help build our consistency, which then builds self-trust, and every plan turns that trigger into just a training opportunity. So let's talk about what happens when you don't follow the plan, because you won't always, and that's just human. You definitely are not going to always follow this plan. But research shows that self-compassion, not self-criticism, is associated with greater resilience and long-term behavior change. So I'm going to say this: you cannot shame yourself into sustainable habits, but you can coach yourself into them. So instead of I blew it, you can try something else. That wasn't what I planned. What was I actually needing? Was it rest? Was it comfort, connection, fuel? That insight is data. And in Momentum, we use that data to make adjustments. When you respond with curiosity instead of criticism, you recover faster. You reset without guilt. You stay in motion. And that is really that emotional strength. And it reinforces new neural pathways through repetition. So you're not just breaking bad habits, you're actually building new ones. So at the end of each day this week, this is an action step you can take. I want you to write down one small win, one moment of pause, one compassionate reframe, even like an I noticed my cravings before acting counts. That's progress. So these small wins are truly, truly valuable. So don't skip on those. So now let's address the question that some of you are quietly holding as we move away from tracking. If I stop tracking, I'll lose my progress. So tracking can be helpful, but over-reliance on it can create mental fatigue. You may have noticed this already. And when the structure disappears, that rebound eating can sometimes follow. It's not because you lack discipline, but because our internal cues were never strengthened. But we are strengthening those. So we're working towards food freedom without abandoning your goals. So food freedom being moving away from those rigid rules, recognizing that all foods can fit and are not inherently good or bad, and building trust in your body's cues. So our goal is removing the rigidity and obsession while still honoring your health and your body composition goals. It's structure without the rigidity. So let's reflect on some things that we have learned and how this can look in practice. First, our dietary structure and changes. We want to prioritize protein and fiber at most meals because they increase our satiety and naturally regulate our intake. Fill half your plate with non-starchy veggies for that volume. Stay hydrated. Be mindful of liquid calories because they're not as satisfying. This supports a calorie deficit without counting every single gram. Another one, behavioral changes in structure. Eating regular balanced meals so you're not playing catch up at night. Slowing down down, pausing before seconds, aiming to stop around the 7 or 8 out of 10 on the fullness scale so that your satiety signals can catch up, and minimizing distractions while eating, and especially protecting your sleep because those poor sleep disrupts our hunger hormones. Third is our movement, increasing your daily movement, your NEAT, walking more, standing more, strength training consistently because that muscle supports our metabolic health and the physique that you are building. So we're working on that structure to build sustainability. So this week is about becoming the person who recognizes the trigger, pauses, chooses intentionally, and responds with some compassion and continues moving forward. That's food freedom. Not perfection, not rigid control. It's about ownership. And every pause is a rep for your brain. And you're not just changing how you eat. You're changing how you respond to yourself and to your environment. And that's where real momentum is built.